Okay, welcome to This Explainer, where, honestly, we're going to completely dismantle pretty much everything you've ever been taught about the need to be original. Seriously, from day one, society drills it into our heads that to succeed, we have to invent something completely new, right? That we literally have to forge our own unique path. But today? Well, today we're going to look at some fascinating evidence that proves why that exact mindset might actually be the very thing holding you back. So if your side hustle, your business, or your creative project is just kind of stuck in neutral right now, you're absolutely going to want to pay close attention to this. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the cost of originality. Let's dive into this with a scenario that perfectly exposes why we get stuck. And it all boils down to a very specific psychological barrier. Picture this. You've got two gas stations, literally right across the street from each other. Same neighborhood, exact same gas prices. But one of them is absolutely crushing it. Cars are wrapped around the block, they've got super loyal customers, and they are highly profitable. Why? Because they offer these tiny free touches, wiping your windshield, checking your tire pressure, stuff that costs almost nothing. Now, the failing gas station sees this winning strategy literally every single day. The exact blueprint for success is right across the street, but they completely refuse to copy it. Because their pride and their ego step in, they want to do things their way. And because of that stubbornness, they are just bleeding money every month and going completely bankrupt. Which brings us to section 2, the $15 million cloner. So, this weird human DNA that prevents us from adopting proven ideas, that is exactly what a regular engineer named Mohnish Pabrai figured out how to hack. He realized that the solution to our problems is so often sitting right in front of us, already proven, already working, but we just refuse to use it. The story goes that while killing time between flights at Heathrow Airport, Pabrai was flipping through Peter Lynch's book One Up on Wall Street. Now at this point, he knew absolutely nothing about investing. Nothing. But he read that Warren Buffett was making a staggering 31% return a year for over 40 years straight. Just to put that into perspective, most average investors struggle to even hit 10%.
And right there, sitting in the airport, Pabrai had this incredible light bulb moment. Instead of trying to be smarter than Buffett, instead of trying to, improve on his methods or add his own brilliant little twist, Pabrai made a conscious choice. He decided to shamelessly clone Buffett's entire life and business. He literally asked himself, what if I just copy exactly what he does? No shame, no ego.
And he went 10,000% all in. His new routine was intense. He didn't just skim an article and say, okay, cool, I get the gist. No, he started studying Buffett like it was his life's mission, reading 5 to 6 hours every single day. He completely restructured his life so he could work entirely alone. He even committed to attending Buffett's annual shareholder meetings every single year for over 20 years straight. He was stacking up thousands of tiny decisions to meticulously mirror his idol.
Now, fast forward a few years, and Pabrai actually happily paid an eye-watering $650,000 for a charity launch with Buffett. People thought he and his friend were totally out of their minds. But Pabrai viewed it through the lens of a traditional Hindu concept called Guru Dakshina, which is basically a gift you give to your spiritual teacher when your education is complete. Buffett had completely changed his life, turning an everyday engineer into a man worth $154 million, all without even knowing Pabrai existed.
All right, moving on to section 3, escaping the originality trap. So if cloning is this incredibly powerful, we really have to ask the hard question, why is almost nobody actually willing to do it? Well, Pabrai says it's simple. Ego. We all fall into what's known as the originality trap. See, we're conditioned from childhood to believe that copying is inherently bad. In school, you get punished for it, right? They actively call it cheating. But in the real world, almost every wildly successful person started by copying. They just don't advertise it. Did you know that Sam Walton, the guy who built the absolute retail empire that is Walmart, used to blatantly walk right into competitor stores with a notepad? He would scribble down their layouts, their shelf arrangements, exactly how they placed their signs. He literally called it the best part of the job. Pabrai left his ego completely at the door. And this unapologetic mindset is the absolute baseline requirement if you want to actually get results. He once said, I don't care if you think I am unoriginal. I care about winning. He wasn't trying to impress anybody with his creativity. He just wanted the system that actually worked.
Now, most people think cloning means you just become a mindless copycat, but it's actually the exact opposite. Pabrai became a master synthesizer. He didn't just copy one single thing. He cloned investing strategies from Buffett, thinking models from Charlie Munger, foundational principles from Benjamin Graham, and even life decisions from various philosophers. By heavily cloning the absolute best pieces from multiple different sources, it's like he was putting together a giant puzzle. Pabrai inadvertently combined them in a way that no one else ever had. He completely bypassed that originality trap and ended up being entirely original anyway.
Okay, let's jump into Section 4, Cloning in the Real World.
Let's bring this down from billionaires and giant retail empires to, your everyday YouTube channel, side hustle, or small business, because the exact same rules apply here. Consider a struggling recipe YouTuber. She wanted her videos to be super highly useful and completely original. So what did she do? She added all these subtitles, trendy background music, and she put the full written recipe right there in the video. But her proven competitor, a channel literally getting millions of views, was doing the exact opposite. No subtitles, no music, the recipe isn't even on the screen, and the video is a bare bones 30 seconds long. This beginner creator was completely ignoring the fact that the biggest channels had already tested the data. They had already proven what actually worked. But beginners, we always come in thinking, oh, I know better, I'm going to improve this right out of the gate.
But it simply doesn't work that way. And you know what happened? The absolute moment this creator finally swallowed her pride, stopped trying to be so uniquely original, and just cloned the proven competitor's bare-bones system, boom, she had 100,000 views almost immediately, and shortly after that, she crossed 500,000 views. She didn't invent a single new thing. She just stopped trying to be original before she actually understood the rules of the game. Think of it like learning to be a barber. If you wanted to cut hair, you would never, ever walk into a barbershop and invent your own haircutting technique on day one. You wouldn't be like, don't worry guys, I'm going to figure out my own way to do this. No, instead, you would stand directly behind a master barber. You'd watch exactly how they hold the scissors, you'd copy every single tiny wrist movement, every tilt of the head, and you'd do it for weeks until your hands actually understood the craft.
So how do we do this? Let's look at Section 5, the Master Cloner Playbook.
How do you actually apply this to your own life without getting stuck in that ego trap, but also without remaining a permanent copycat forever? It builds into a really highly effective 3-step master cloner playbook. Step 1, find your Buffett. Pick the one, undisputed, absolute best person or channel in your niche and just ignore everyone else. Step 2, clone the whole system. Don't just skim the surface and cherry pick the fun parts. You absolutely have to take the boring parts too. And step 3, adjust and experiment only after you've completely mastered the basics.
Because here's the secret. Success is rarely one big, flashy insight. It is 1,000 small decisions that stack up over time. It's how you structure your morning, how you handle distractions, how you protect your time. It is exactly like going to the gym, right? You can't just stroll in, pick the bicep curls because they're fun, and skip the rest of the workout. You have to run the whole boring program for it to actually work. You have to clone the entire underlying system.
So I really want to leave you with this final kind of provocative thought about your own projects. Ask yourself, and be totally honest here, are you copying what already works, or are you stubbornly trying to be original before you've even mastered the basics? The winning formula is probably sitting right in front of you. I sincerely hope this explainer helps you get unstuck, drop the ego, and find that proven path to winning. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep learning.